Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. It's time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Great to be here as always. Happy Wednesday. You made it to the halfway point of the week, and we've got another loaded show today. Dylan Sinn, rather, is going to join us from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. But it's Final Four week, and who better to talk to them than Keith Smart, one of the original heroes of the Final Four, with his last-second shot to win a national title for the Indiana Hoosiers back in '87. So we'll talk to Keith about all the things that are going on today, how today's game has changed. He's actually the coach at Iowa United Prep, and I noticed that the rosters for the McDonald's All-American games came out, and actually they were on TV last night, but I was looking at the rosters, and of the 24 men's players, 14 of those came from prep school academies or whatever, not from high schools. And your basic high schools are not going to produce many of these guys anymore. Lalomir had a player or two on there. It's just the nature of the beast now, but that's how it is. But look forward to that. That's going to be a great conversation for you, and looking forward to that. IU football pro day today. We'll talk about that with Dylan when he joins us. The Hoosier.com, as a matter of fact, with some breaking news this morning that all 32 NFL teams are expected to be represented at Indiana's Pro Day. That's never happened. But Indiana is set to host Pro Day today, and it will be one that is at the top of the list for many NFL organizations. The Hoosier.com has confirmed that every NFL team will be represented there, like I said. They're Indiana coming off of its first national championship and that 16-0 record. And we'll get to see Fernando Mendoza throw, because he did not throw at the Combine, but he is going to throw for his guys here at the Pro Day. And that means Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper, both are projected to be drafted. Omar Cooper is a first-round projected draft pick, but there are a ton of Indiana players: Khalil Benson, Kalen Black, Devin Boykin, Jonathan Brady, Pat Coogan, expected to be taken in the draft. Omar Cooper, Stephen Daly coming off the bad injury. Aiden Fisher projected to be taken. You've got Brendan Frankie, Roman Hemby. He'll be taken most likely. He went to the Combine. Mikhail Kamara, Mark Langston, Mitch McCarthy, the punter, Fernando Mendoza, safety Lewis Moore, who was on with us not too long ago, Riley Nowakowski, D'Angelo Pons, expected to be a second-round draft pick. Dominic Ratcliffe, Elijah Surratt, he's expected to be taken. Holden Stays, the tight end, Solomon Van Horst, E.J. Williams Jr., and Kellen Wyatt. those are all of the players that will be going through various exercises. Some are going to be running the 40, some are going to be running routes, different things, the lifting, all of the jumping and all the variables, the measurements that they like to get. But Pat Coogan, Aiden Fisher, Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper, D'Angelo Pons, Fernando Mendoza are projected draft picks already. And then there are not only those many others that I just mentioned, that whether they're drafted or not, highly likely that they'll sign as undrafted free agents. So big time going on right now for Indiana football. As a matter of fact, yesterday, Lee Beebe spoke, and go to thehoosier.com. You can hear that as well. But man, it's going to be another fun season for Indiana football, and looking forward to it. Jason said they had a player leave the team. Well, that's going to happen. And saying that only a singular player left the team, that's amazing in and of itself. And happy April 1st. No fooling. There you go. All right. So looking forward to that. Happy April Fool's Day, everybody. But there's so much going on, and none of it's, and I'm not joshing about any of it, man. So there's too much good stuff going on. As a matter of fact, the mock drafts that last have Fernando going in the first round to the Raiders, and Omar Cooper going to the Buffalo Bills in the first round as well. D'Angelo Pons is a second round projected pick, maybe to the Bengals. Elijah Surratt expected to go in round 3, projected to the Rams here. Aiden Fisher in round 5 to the Packers. Mikael Camaro, number 165. I don't know what round that is. That's still round 5. Mikael Camaro to the Buffalo Bills. Roman Hemby projected to also go in that round to the Houston Texans, as is Lewis Moore to the Buffalo Bills. So 1, 2, 3, 4 players projected to go in the 5th round. Now, that's projections, and things change according to who takes whom prior to that and what the needs are. Things change as the draft goes forward. Kalon Black expected to be a 7th round draft pick to Las Vegas, the Raiders, where he could potentially join his former quarterback in Fernando. Now, where Kalon Black projected to be a 7th round draft pick, but Roman Hemby not projected, and he was invited to the combine. So as you can see, you never know how it's really going to go. Carter Smith itching to return from off-season shoulder surgery. He's ready to get back at it, and he's getting that chance. He'll get that chance as spring practice rolls on as well for Indiana, and looking forward. I can't get out to practice, obviously, because of the show, which stinks, but looking forward to getting out to Pro Day today. So get to do that. And let's see what else we got going on in today. Oh, yeah. We already talked about yesterday. The Hoosier.com also was the first to confirm that Trent Sisley was returning. It cracked me up. So many people were like, "Oh, well, we knew this," or "so and so told me this a few days ago." Well, knowing it and being able to put it out because it has been confirmed by the parties in question are two different things. I didn't think he was going anywhere, and I said that numerous times that I expected him to be here, as is the case. But what is really kind of it's aggravating. I don't have a dog in this fight, but it seems to me Indiana fans are treating Trent Sisley as he was supposed to be their savior last year. He's a freshman. A freshman, people. Not a projected one-and-done freshman. He's a freshman. But yet, because everybody wants Indiana basketball to be great, and he's an Indiana kid, he's supposed to come in and turn the water into wine? Man, y'all need to back up. Dude, chill. Let this kid be a freshman. Let him develop. Quit questioning why he didn't play. Hey, guess what? Just assume there might have been a reason. Hello? How many of these people are in practice? 0. So why don't everybody just chill out, let the coaches coach, let them do what they do, let the players play, let them develop, and not make a national security event about it, because it's cracking me up how people are just going nuts over this without having any inkling of anything. So back up. 5 says, I can't deny that he should have been developed more with his skill set. But what does that mean? Where can you lie or lay that blame at? Well, you don't know. Here's the thing that people have to keep in mind. You don't know what you don't know. So stop placing blame when you don't know where it belongs. And if there's any blame to be placed, stop assuming, because that's what everybody is doing. Stop assuming. Stop being a coach. None of us are. I got to go to a few practices, but that's it. Not enough that I can claim that I have that kind of knowledge. I have other knowledge, but just chill out, man. Let these guys develop. It's just crazy, but that's just my thoughts on that. But hey, it's a great Wednesday. Dylan Sinn's going to join us next. Keith Smart's along for the day as well. Looking forward to it. Glad to have you along as well. Back with more right after this quick break.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Hey, welcome back. Appreciate you being with us. Jim Coyle with you. It's Wednesday, and glad to be here as always. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette joining me as well. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, as always, Jim.
Always a pleasure. Lots going on, but I'm going to kind of pull you in. Every time I'm out, think I'm out, they pull me back in. I'm talking about this Trent Sisley phenomenon that I'm calling it. Yesterday, the Hoosier put out that they had confirmed that he was returning, and which I never thought he was leaving, but all of the fans were just, oh, he's transferring, he's gone because he didn't play. And it's like, wait a minute, people. Do you all not realize he was a freshman? And I just said earlier, it's as if so many of Indiana fans were expecting him to be a savior for this program and to come in and just turn the water into wine. And he's a freshman, man. He's a legit freshman. He's got great skills. I think he's going to be a very good player, and I think he's going to be a very good Indiana player. Going to be. That does not mean it just happens overnight. And people are going nuts. And I don't get it. It's like, what is wrong with you guys?
Yeah, it is one of those things where it's when we have the transfer portal and you can fill out a roster in basically one offseason, it's hard to basically say, hey, these guys are going to develop over time, right? And so, because you want to be that is a roster spot, you don't want to take up a roster spot with someone who's not going to be valuable. But that's what you have to do when you have freshmen, right? Like Indiana's going to have freshmen come in this year, and not all three of those freshmen are going to be immediate contributors, right? Like that's still a thing that happens. Not every freshman is going to be a lottery pick, right? The thing with Sisley,
you can see when if a 5-star, a projected one and done, is way different than a 4-star, say a mid-level 4-star. There's differences in those levels. And someone just pointed out, look at Braylon Mullins. He's had his struggles this year. He just hit one of the biggest shots in the history of the NCAA tournament, but he struggled. He also went in as a 5-star. It's a difference.
Yeah. The thing with Sisley that kind of not surprised me because it is one of those things that happens over the course of the season, but he was in the rotation at the beginning of the season. And then in January, February, and March, he was out of the rotation, right? And there were, I think this is where people got tripped up. There were games where it looked like it would have made sense for Darren DeVries to put him in the game, and he didn't put him in the game. Right, it's like especially against Northwestern. Northwestern, the last game of the season, right? They're down by 25 in the second half or whatever it is at a certain point of that game, or they're down by 20 in the second half of that game. He didn't get in until the last 40 seconds of that game, right? There was a scenario where it was like, okay, he wasn't being played because he already told Darren that he was leaving. I think a lot of people felt that was kind of the case where he wasn't. The idea wasn't that he was transferring because he wasn't playing. The idea is he wasn't playing because he was transferring, right? Does that make sense? I think that was the way some people saw it. I think that's, and I commented on it a couple of times during the season where it was like, it's exactly. And that's kind of just how you assume things are going now. But it did seem like down the stretch of the season he fell out of the rotation. But guys fall out of the rotation all the time. Right, like the rotation shrinks as the season goes on.
Big Ten play, and it just so happened the Big Ten was the best maybe it's ever been as a conference in the history of the conference.
Yeah, and that's part of it too. Like when you get later in the season, your rotation shrinks. Right, you go from playing 10, 11 guys in November, December. You usually play 8 or 9 maximum in February, March, right? Now, part of the thing with Sisley was I thought he lost a little bit of confidence. There was some times where he was out there where it was like he didn't seem like he was himself, I thought. He had a game he went 1 for 10 from 3-point range over the last 2 months of the season. And he was a very good shooter in high school. That was something he brought to the table. He's like your prototypical stretch 4, 6'8", can rebound, can dribble, can shoot. And he didn't shoot well down the stretch of the season. Now, part of that is because he wasn't getting as many minutes because it's really hard to get into a rhythm as a shooter when you're not getting consistent minutes, right? Matt Painter talks about that all the time. Is like you're coming off the bench, it's hard to get into a rhythm. But there was a time where he played. There was that game against Minnesota in this at Assembly Hall the last week of the season. It was the only game they won in the final like 3 weeks of the season, and they were up by 30, and he's in the game, and he shoots a three from the corner, and it missed by about 5 feet. That thing did not come close to touching the rim. And it was like, okay, he clearly has lost some confidence in his jumper, and that was obviously feeding on the fact that he wasn't playing. So he wasn't shooting well because he wasn't playing, and then he wasn't playing well because he wasn't shooting well, and it was kind of feeding on itself. And so I think a lot of people saw that and were like, well, that's a guy who it just didn't work out for him here, and maybe he'll be better elsewhere. Right? I think that's how a lot of people felt. But I mean, he was just a freshman. If you can get him back, he's a guy who's going to be able to rebuild his shot in the offseason, a guy who wants to be at Indiana very clearly. And so if you can get him back, I do believe you're exactly right. He is going to be a very good player in college basketball. And so getting him back to be able to develop him is a very positive sign for this program.
And I know for a fact that he's working his ass off in the offseason on his own, not even with the things that the team will probably do, but that won't start until June, I guess. But it's like, again, I don't have a dog in the fight, but things finally built to a point where I finally say, all right, what the hell are you all doing, man? I go, that's enough. Gee whiz. It's just like he's the only player that they have coming back for sure. So that's the thing that they can argue about, I guess. I don't know. Indiana's going to have anywhere from 6 to 8 transfers come in. That's another thing people are not realizing. So you're going to have a ton of new guys coming in. And I think that Trent will continue to develop. Again, he's a freshman. The speed of the game is different. It's different. He was playing against, and it's not that he may not have a better skill set than some of the guys that may have been playing in front of him, but they had experience. Maybe they were a little bit quicker. Maybe they were considered a tick better of a defender. I don't know. But what I do know, there's a reason. There's a reason that, and I don't know what it was, but why, when you mentioned there were instances maybe where he could have been put in. Okay, I don't disagree, but I don't know why it didn't happen. And it can be questioned, but that's no reason to jump off the deep end and just go nuts. It's just like with Darren DeVries. I don't know whether or not he's going to be the guy. And I'm not saying either way, but there are so many people that have already made that decision. Oh, they're jumping off the ship. And I'm like, what the hell, man? I'm like, are you all not looking around and seeing what's going on in this sport now? I understand that Indiana fans have dealt with this for a lot longer than these other blue blood programs. You know, Syracuse is on the skids, North Carolina's on the skids, Kentucky's. They made the tournament, but they're not exactly lighting the world afire, and their fans are not happy. Louisville, it looked like they were good, but boom. So and if and when Bill Self leaves Kansas, I can't wait to see how that goes. When I'm curious to see how Purdue moves forward in this era now after they lose this core that they've been able to hold on to for so long that no other team has really been able to do like that. Well, nobody did. They had 4 of the 22 players in all of Division I college basketball that finished at the same place that they started at. That they're not going to have that again in that number. I mean, Luke Ertl might stay there the whole time, but they are going to have to start using the portal, in my opinion, and integrate into that world a little bit more, and it's going to be different. So I'm interested to see how that is going forward. But it's wow. Indiana fans, if they want to go crazy after the transfer portal closes, have at it if you don't like what's going on. But let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah, and that is the thing, right? And we talked about this last week when I was on, was that we are probably going to know how good Indiana and every team in the country is going to be more or less by the end of May, right? Like, and probably earlier than that for a lot of teams, right? So you talked about 6 to 8 guys Indiana is going to need. We'll see we'll see how many it ends up being, because they do end up right now. If they have everyone back that has eligibility left, they would need 3 guys. I don't expect them to have everyone back that has eligibility left. So we're going to see who transfers and then what they are able to bring in to replace the guys who do transfer. And we'll see, we'll go from there. And it is one of those things where they missed on something. That is part of the problem, is as why fans are a little bit anxious, is because they missed on some guys last offseason. They did not get the production out of guys from that they thought they were going to this past season, because they misevaluated some guys in the transfer portal last offseason. So we're going to see whether they do better this year. I do think Ryan Carr will help with that to some extent. That's why they hired him. But it is one of those things where we are going to know very soon whether that is going to be whether they are going in the right direction, right? And so if it doesn't go well in the transfer portal, well, then we're going to know very soon here, right? And I think it was Evan Miyakawa who says that basically how good a team will be with 80% certainty after the transfer portal window, right? It's 80%.
I've been going off of that and mentioning that all the time. And since I read that, and I'm like, well, that makes sense, because your roster's not changing. And the improvement, it'll be there as a team, but generally, individually, you don't get that much better in one season. And that's another thing that going back to the Trent Sisley thing, development takes a minute to develop. You know, you don't put a cake in the oven and then pull it right back out. It takes time to bake. Let it bake, baby. But so the biggest thing for Indiana, and someone mentioned earlier, Indiana didn't exactly have a great roster this season. It didn't have any depth. So you would have been putting Trent in bad positions a lot of the time for someone who's basically climbing uphill because he's learning still and all of that. So yeah, I get maybe there were probably minutes he could have had here and there. I think that Darren DeVries got to a point to where he was just more concerned with trying to win the games, and he felt that to do that, he had to go with what he had on the floor at the time.
Yeah, he rode his starters very, very hard down the stretch of the season. I mean, and maybe that's part of the reason they ran out of gas, is because they didn't at the end of the season. Because they didn't have a ton of depth, and those guys had played a ton of minutes, right? And obviously, again, we talked about this. They missed on a couple of guys in the portal. In terms of evaluations, they got less out of them than they thought. They had a couple of injuries. Josh Harris and Jason Drake would have provided some of that depth that they could have maybe rotated a few more guys in. So we'll see whether that is something that helps them this coming season. But it is one of those things where rotations just shrink as the season goes on. That's just kind of how it works with just about every team. You're playing guys at the beginning of the season that you're not playing at the end of the season. That's just kind of how basketball goes, because at the beginning of the season, you're really trying to feel out rotations. You're trying to feel out who plays well with other guys, who fits in with this particular lineup. And when you figure that out, then you go with your better lineups more often down the stretch of the season when crunch time hits, right? And I do think if we want to be fair to Indiana fans who are concerned, right? That's part of the concern, is that they struggled so badly down the stretch of the season, right? That they were in position to make the tournament at the very least. Like, yeah, the roster wasn't fantastic, but they were in position to make the tournament at the very least, and they just struggled so badly over the final several weeks. It's like, okay, where did this go wrong? Because obviously they were better than they showed those last couple of weeks. I mean, you went out there and beat UCLA on the road. You beat Wisconsin, who are a very good team. You were ahead by 16 against Nebraska. Where did that team go? right? And that's why I think people are a little bit concerned is it was the lack of finish from this team, right? You want the team to be getting better over the course of the season. That didn't happen. That's why people are a little bit concerned, if we want to be fair to people who are concerned, right?
Absolutely. I was looking at the, we'll take a break here in a second, but the AP preseason poll and comparing that to where we are now, like during football. Now, football was a tremendous departure from reality of the end of the season. Will we have the same with that in basketball? I don't know. We'll check that out when we come back. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette with us. Are you coming down for Pro Day?
I am not. It's Fort Wayne Tin Caps Media Day today, so I will be there after I get off of you this morning.
Wow, the Tin Caps getting top billing over Pro Day.
Hey,
two teams going to be in attendance today.
There you go. But we're focused on Fort Wayne at least for today. But yeah, Indiana, the huge opportunity for a lot of those guys. Looking forward to seeing how they perform.
Hey, and all you folks on the Fan, there you go. That's local sports coverage for you there, Dylan Sinn and the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Hey, we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Jim Coyle with you as always. Appreciate you being with us. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette joins me as well. Pro Day for Indiana football today. This right after the show, I'm heading out there, and we've got plenty other things happening as well. Where will the tallest basketball player in college basketball history play? 7'9" Oliver Rue from Florida hitting the portal. I guess he's a project that Florida doesn't see working out. So, which is kind of crazy, but you would think that he could just learn to stand and swat. It's 7'9". That's incomprehensible.
The problem is, I think the problem is getting up and down the court, right? Like it's one of those things where you're carrying so much
4 on 5 on offense.
Exactly, right, exactly. Just have him stand there under the hoop and play 4 on 5 on offense and reap the rewards on defense, right? I guess that would be the idea. But unfortunately, it didn't work out for the young man at Florida. I'm sure he'll find a home somewhere. Some coach will want to take a chance on someone with that kind of elite trait. And think that they can figure it out for sure.
Yeah, for many of you listening on radio, right, the pro day going on right now at 1:00. You can catch that on the NFL Network and probably a replay on the NFL Network as well. Let's see. What else was I going to mention? Oh, yeah, Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey, former Purdue player, released by the Bulls. He was shut down for the season, and he went on his Instagram and went on a tirade against the NBA's support of Pride Month and this. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't see anything that he said that was truly offensive, unless I missed it. And I'm not judging, but I just saw somebody expressing an opinion without calling people out, without using derogatory names. So did he do anything other than express his opinion?
Yeah, so I think the concern there is that it's the act of going on Instagram Live, and he was on there for like an hour. Like people on the plane,
but
yeah, people on the plane around him were getting concerned. Like it seems like he is. And I don't want to talk out of school here because I have not been in contact with Jaden Ivey. I don't know him. It seems like there are some things that he's going through, right? And maybe it would have been better for the Bulls to give him some help because he seems to be struggling with some things, right? And I don't know him personally. I don't want to talk out of school on that. I don't know what's going on with him at all. But I do think that there are some things that he's going through, and so that has to be that is, I believe, the more pressing matter here for the Bulls. And maybe that means they shouldn't have cut him and they should have found a way to help him, get him the help he needs, whatever it is, right?
Well,
but that I think is the number one thing.
Again, you don't know what you don't know. I don't know if there was something else that precipitated this, but just from that, I can, or if you want to not be happy about it or whatever, that's fine. But since he only expressed an opinion, to my knowledge, and again, did not use negative verbiage or any of that, he gets cut because he doesn't fall in line, the company line on a minority issue. I just find that ridiculous because it's his religious belief. So, and again, we don't get into that stuff here, but normally when you have this, you've got somebody going off and they're using vulgar language and really bad words to associate people with, and that didn't happen here, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I have not looked into this particularly closely. I just to me it's like the problem. First of all, the other problem is that he wasn't playing well enough, right? Like that he hasn't been playing particularly well.
There you go.
And like he was already shut down for the season anyway. But he had not been playing well. It did not seem like his. I think the thing that can be fair to say is that his heart is not particularly in basketball right now. And so I think that basketball is not the top priority in his life right now. Whatever it is, that seems to be the case to me from the reporting that I've read, from everything that he's said. Basketball does not seem to be where his heart is right now. And so whether the Bulls should have taken some other action, I'm not sure. But that is, I think, what we can say about Jaden Ivey is the basketball is not exactly where his head is at the moment.
Well, good luck to him either way, but I just, I don't always agree with everybody else, and that's fine. Let's see, I mentioned Pro Day is coming up, and Oliver, and I mentioned the McDonald's game and all that. Let's see, what else was I going to? Oh, well, how many players from Indiana? I think it's going to be 68. It could be 9. I don't know what Ristic is going to do. He would probably be a 9th player to hit the portal, but 6 are definitely gone. I think that Dorn and who else we got? Josh Harris,
Jason Drake. Those two guys didn't play at all this year. I would assume
was hurt.
Yeah, they were both hurt, I think. So I think both of them missed the entire season with injury. I think they expected both of those guys to contribute. I would assume both of them would be back. Maybe they saw something in practice that they didn't like that we weren't privy to in terms of how good they can be this year, and maybe they transfer out to a different place. But it seemed to me that missing the entire season, they would probably want to stick around because you're not going to be able to get much NIL money after missing an entire season with injury unless you stay with your current team. So my assumption has been that they will stay. But I guess we will see about that. I assume Nick Dorn will stay. I assume Josiah Miles will stay, especially as he's kind of the opposite of Trent Sisley, where he got more minutes down the stretch of the season, and he played pretty well for them. That was the thing with me. Josiah Miles played extraordinarily hard when he was on the court down the stretches. It was really, really fun to watch him just kind of go after every single rebound imaginable and get some that he had no business even getting his hands on. That was fun to watch. And he has another year of eligibility, so I assume he'll be back. And so now you're getting into like assuming that you have those guys back. That's 7 guys right there with the 8 guys, I guess, with the 3 freshmen coming in, with Sisley back, and then you have those 4, the 2 guys who are hurt all season, Dorn and Miles. That's 8 guys right there. You have, I think will probably come back next year. Obviously, things could change. Obviously, anything could happen in the transfer portal. But I think those 8 will be back, and then it's a question of the other guys and what they decide to do and how many transfers Indiana's going to need.
Yeah, and now we all know that Indiana was very poor in the paint last year, and not only a big man, but a dominant big man. Look at the teams that are in the Final Four. As a matter of fact, I almost forgot. The preseason AP college basketball poll had, let's see, let me make sure, week 1. Okay, Purdue was number 1, which, no offense to Boilermaker fans, but I said all along, that ain't happening. They don't have a number 1 draft pick, in my opinion, and it's just not going to happen. Here's a question. Who has a better NBA career? Braden Smith or Oscar Clough, or a better pro career?
I think the answer is Trey Kaufman-Renn. Trey Kaufman-Renn is going to have the best NBA career of anyone on that roster. I think he is actually. I think he's going to be in the NBA for a little while. I think he's a very athletic player who played back to the basket more at Purdue, but I think could be a guy who his skill set translates pretty well to the NBA.
Very similar to Trace Jackson-Davis.
Yeah, and I think that Kaufman-Renn, he didn't shoot threes while he was at Purdue, but I think he can shoot threes. We saw Zach Edey when he went from Purdue to the NBA. He started shooting threes at a much higher clip than he was at Purdue, because Purdue was like, why would we ever have Zach Edey?
You didn't need him to.
You didn't need him to. It wasn't something he needed to do. But in the NBA, that's something they want you to do.
He left with a 50% 3-point mark. I think he hit 1 or 2. And the one shot he hit was against Indiana.
That's right. And it banked in. I remember he shot that and it banked in. Yes. But he is a pretty good NBA 3-point shooter for a guy as big as he is. I think Trey Kaufman-Renn can do the same thing. I think he can expand his game out to the wing. He's very athletic. He's very strong. He knows how to use space. I think he'll be in the league as a backup for a little while and be able to carve out a nice career for himself. So the interesting thing to me about Purdue as we go forward here real quick, Oscar Clough could come back next year. They got him as a –
He was a beast.
He was a beast. And that's the question for me, is that they are trying to get him kind of under the Diego Pavia rule, where your junior college years don't count against you. It's unclear whether that's going to expand to basketball or what the situation with that is. But it's the same kind of thing where if he is not played, if his junior college years don't count, he has another year of eligibility, but you have to litigate that through the court. So they're working on that. They're trying to see whether that's going to take place. And then the question becomes, okay, if he's back, what do you do with Daniel Jacobson, who they are also very high on, the 7'4" redshirt freshman who was kind of the platoon man with Oscar Clough this year. So what do you do with him? Because he probably deserves a bigger role next year. And how do you get those guys to work together? We'll see. But that's kind of the more intriguing question for Purdue this offseason, because they're not really planning on using the transfer portal much at all, unless they have someone unexpected go in the portal. Which there hasn't been any indication that'll be the case. They have 4 guys coming in, 4 guys coming in their freshman class, and they already brought in the one transfer they're going to bring, which is Caden Pierce from Princeton, who is a transfer Ivy League Player of the Year a couple of years ago. Alec Pierce's brother, he's going to be on the wing for them. So we'll see. Purdue's offseason is basically going to be Oscar Clough watch, and we'll see how that goes for them.
Looking at the preseason AP Top 25 men's basketball poll of the teams that are in the Final Four now, Illinois was the lowest ranked at 17th. I understood that. They were a very unknown commodity with so many new players. Arizona, surprisingly, was 13th, kind of further down than I thought. Michigan was 7th, and UConn was 4. Funny thing is, UConn had the worst season of those 4 teams, but was able to make it back. And so the funny thing is, it's almost in the right order. I see Illinois as being I don't want to use the word weakest, but if I had to list them in order of teams that I think are going to win it, they'd be at the bottom of the 4. I'd put UConn next, and then Michigan, and then Arizona. But you can swap Michigan and Arizona, and you can swap UConn. Who the hell knows? They beat Duke. I mean, things happen in the NCAA tournament, but yeah, it's not like it was with football, though. Football was way off the chart. But I think it will continue, because how many NBA players are on Arizona's team?
Oh, a fair amount. Yeah, like they got Braden Burries is an NBA player. Koa Pete is an NBA player. I'm misremembering a lot of the rest of their roster, but they have NBA players all over that roster, right? They got four guys.
More importantly, first round.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. And so, like they have guys.
Michigan has the same thing.
Yeah.
Illinois with Keaton Wagler alone in a freshman, and then Arizona has Koa Pete, the freshman. Linderborg for Michigan. I mean, I'm just talking about the stars.
Don't forget Adai Mara for Michigan, the center. That guy's going lottery.
Oh.
And I think people have kind of over-indexed on Linderborg. He's good, but he's also 23 years old or whatever it is. Mara is the best NBA player on this.
Can Mara shoot?
He can, but he hasn't done it a ton this year. It's the same kind of thing.
Thinking about comparing him to who was the player a few years ago for Gonzaga?
Chet Holmgren.
Yes. Chet Holmgren had more of a shot, but not as dominant in the paint as Mara.
No. Mara is much more. Holmgren was kind of the prototypical stretch 5, like he was Victor Wembanyama before Victor Wembanyama, right? Guy who was 7'2", but was that kind of out there playing like a guard. Mara is much more of your traditional center, where he's back to the basket, rim protector type of guy. But he's so athletic, he's so strong, his arms are so incredibly long. He moves so well for a guy his size. Every time I watch a Michigan game, obviously, yes, Linderborg was the player of the year in the conference, but every time I watch a Michigan game, I come away more impressed by Mara. He's ridiculous. And to me, he's the reason why they are where they are in terms of being, in my opinion, one of the 2 favorites to win the whole thing right now. In terms of, I think whoever wins that game, Michigan, Arizona, is going to win the title. And those are the 2 best teams in the country, and we'll have to see. But Mara is so good. He's ridiculous. It's been a lot of fun to watch him, especially as a transfer from UCLA, where it kind of seemed like maybe they gave up on him a little bit. Maybe it was one of those things where they didn't really believe that he could be a high-level player, and he didn't think they believed in him, and so he went to a place where they believed in him, and he has really blossomed into a superstar for them.
Yeah, and Indiana, speaking of these first-round draft picks, that's if fans want to see success next year, there's going to have to be a first-round draft pick type of player pulled in for Indiana. And I don't know who that is, but you've got to be good at 2 places. I mean, point guard, and you're a big guy. That has to be your anchors, and you build around them. But you have to have both of those, in my opinion. And I think that, and I'm not picking on Purdue, but if I look at Purdue, they had almost all of that. But what do you think Purdue was missing?
That's the thing, right? I think it's just they were missing a little bit of probably athleticism, right? Like they didn't have a guy. They didn't have a guy outside of Trey Kaufman-Renn who could really go get his own basket on a regular basis, right? Just clear out the floor. This guy's going to go win and get to the rim and get his shot, right? Braden Smith was very good at, if you gave him a screen, he was going to be able to get to the rim. He was going to get to his pull up, and that was great. But there's not a guy on that team that you think, get him the ball, he's going to take someone off the dribble and get to the rim by himself, right? I think that's part of what they were missing. They didn't shoot well against Arizona. Arizona was more athletic than they were. They rebounded better. They defended better. I think that was part of the problem with Purdue, is that they just weren't a particularly good defensive team for most of the season. They were okay down the stretch, but they weren't great. And they didn't have guys. They didn't have guys flying around, and so that was part of it too. But I think athleticism is the biggest thing for them.
No question about that. And it'll be interesting to see what they're able to put together this year, because I didn't, last year was, I don't even know what to call it. So it was in the year where I was going to jump on anybody about anything, because I know the difficulties it takes changes, and that they really got a late start, but they've got all the pieces in place now. So there will be no excuses for next season, and then we'll be doing a little bit more critiquing for the peeps. Don't worry, but I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be exciting. I've loved this tournament. College basketball has been a blast. These teams, these games, how can you not love it? Other than not having your team and the fans having their team in, I get that. But other than that, if you're a college basketball fan, you have to love this.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that's, we kind of heard it. People were upset that there weren't enough upsets early on. They were upset of the lack of Cinderella. But we've had some really good games throughout this tournament, especially here at, it always happens. The Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight are really, really good, especially when there's fewer upsets in the first round, because then you got these teams that have played well all season. They win their games early on like they're supposed to, and then they go against each other. It's like, this is a lot of fun, right? These are high-level teams slugging it out for a chance to go to the Final Four. Michigan, Arizona is going to be one of the better games of the entire college basketball season, in my opinion. UConn and Illinois is going to be terrific. We have 4 teams here. All 4 of them conceivably could win the title. I think you're right that Illinois is the quote unquote weakest of the bunch, but Illinois is a darn good team. Illinois could win the whole thing, and Wagler could go off. They have guys who could make life very difficult for any of the teams that they play. So any of the 4 could win it from here. And I think we're in for 2 really good semifinals and a really good championship game, whoever it ends up being. And that's what you want in the tournament, right? You want really good games, especially down the stretch in the second couple of weekends, as you figure out who's going to be the national champion, because that's when the highest level basketball is played.
And what's up next for you?
Yeah, I will be, like I said, I will be at Tin Caps Media Day today. Tin Caps open their season on Friday, and then I will be covering everything college basketball here over the next couple of weeks as the transfer portal opens. Looking forward to that as well. And then obviously today I have a story in the Journal-Gazette about the end of Purdue's season, and just kind of a season review for them and where they go from here. You talked about what's next for them. I wrote about that for the Journal-Gazette for today's paper. So go ahead to journalgazette.net and check that out.
Absolutely. And make sure you're giving Dylan a follow. Appreciate you, my friend.
Absolutely, Jim. Thanks for having me on, as always.
Pleasure always ours, buddy. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got lots more coming up, and Keith Smart joins us next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio as we roll on this Wednesday. Back with more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone owned by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Glad to be here, and man, I would have been so sad to miss this one. We've seen a lot of talk about the shot in the last few days. Well, I thought it was maybe time to remind people of the shot, we all know who put that one up back in 1987 against Syracuse for the Indiana Hoosiers to win their last national championship. Mr. Keith Smart, how are you, sir?
Man, thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on. And you're always a great time for not only myself, but the family and the family of IU fanatics, and also just in general college basketball fans. And so when the shot comes up, I get a lot of phone calls of different things. Now we're posting. I get that. Every time around this time of year when the tournament starts, I'll get that. And it's a great moment for all of our guys. Our team with Steve Alford and Todd Meyer, and God bless his soul before he passed away, Darryl Thomas, they got a thread. We have a thread, and we'll get on that thing, and it will keep going. And we'll talk about grandkids. Like now, one of our guys, Todd Meyer, just retired from his job. He walked out of the door the last day today. And we all clapping and congratulating him for being a position where he retired. Brian Sloan, he was a doctor in Indy, and now he's not there anymore. He's retiring as well. So we get to keep everybody up to date. We also want to know, why is it that we're losing hair and Steve Alford hair is still curly and black?
Just like it was in '87.
Exactly.
Man, hair out of place.
Exactly.
Oh, well, yeah, well, I'm just glad that what little I've got still hanging on in there. But you've been, coming up a lot because of the shot, but we always think about it anyway. But just one of those fun times of year when the NCAA tournament comes around, because it's incredible. These games that we've seen here of late have been incredible, and it seems like it's better than ever, but it's just always fun in college basketball. And you've been able to stay involved in this game throughout every level, from college and the coaching at the pros, and now you've been developing the younger talent. More recently, what is probably going to be the #1 player in the draft, AJ DeBansa, when you were out at Utah Utah Prep, and now you were at Iowa starting up a new organization. And before we went on, I noticed that, and I told you that I looked at the rosters for the McDonald's All-American games.
Yes.
The majority of those players are coming from prep schools now, not high schools.
Right. You're absolutely right. That's taking place. We at Utah last year, which I never thought that I would be in high school. Never thought that in my wildest dream. But over the years, I kept hearing people saying, man, they don't teach those guys in AAU how to play. When I was at Arkansas and we go out and see those guys in AAU, I say the same thing. Man, he doesn't know how to shoot. He doesn't know how to dribble. He doesn't know how to pass. All those things. And I just say, you know what? We got to teach them. If they can't do it, it's because no one's teaching them how. And they're forgetting that they are kids. So at that time, I'm in between in the NBA, waiting for my next opportunity, had some opportunities. But then I got the call to go to Utah Prep. And I went there, and I had already saw and looked at AJ Jabasa at top 100. So I had a feeling, and I wrote up because we were getting ready to start recruiting him at Arkansas. But he was at 9th grade at that time. So I couldn't talk to him or be around him at that time because of the rules. But I wrote about it, man. I said, man, this kid right here is a top-level guy. Then I had some friends that were working their top 100. And I asked them, what kind of guy is he? Because, information is the biggest thing. What kind of guy is he? Does he get along with his teammates? What I see on the floor is one thing, but what does he do when no one's watching? And they said, Coach, he does. We got to tell him to get out of the gym. So that was good. And then finally we get to that point to recruit him and everything. By that time, I'm at I go to Utah Prep. They call me and say, hey, can you come in here? We need someone, a veteran coach, to kind of coach this team to help these guys. So I went out there and I started coaching them, understanding how to understand college concept pick and rolls, how to be on time, how to go to class, how to take care of your body, how to do all those things. And that's what I started sharing it, because now I know what colleges are looking for, because I was a recruiter. I know if you're fortunate enough to get to the next level, I know what they want, okay? And what people didn't realize, AJ was a point guard starting off. That's why he can dribble, pass, and know how to tempo of the game, because he played that position. Then he started growing. And then once he started growing, all those skills he had earlier, he just applied to his height now, And so that's why I thought he was very valuable, smart kid. He made a comment, I talked to his dad, but he made a comment about, hey, I might go back to college, And I wouldn't put it past him. He can be 1, 2, or 3. I wouldn't put it past him, because the kid loves school. He loves going to a football game, and enjoying the college atmosphere. He loves that. And, is he going to, if he go, I'm not saying he's going to go back, but if he went back one more year, is he going to be a bad player? These guys already have insurance policies for an event they get hurt no matter what. All that stuff is taken care of, but people don't understand that. And so, he's still making a decision to go out, but he's not going to be a bad player if he stays one more year, And the NBA is kind of going like, well, he'll still be here. If he's good, he'll still be good next year, but not saying that he'll probably stay or he'll go. And he's a good young man, great family, a really good dad who's in his life big time, staying behind him, making sure he does the right things. We went out to lunch while he was there, and his dad had him sign the check, trying to prepare him for leave a tip and everything, leave a tip for for the waiter and all those things like that. And I just thought that he teaching him how to do things at a young age.
That's incredible, because a lot of people just don't get that period in life. Keith Smart, former Indiana player, former NBA player, former coach in the NBA, currently head coach at Iowa Prep. And we're celebrating Final Four week. And who better to do that with than one of the architects of one of the great finishes in the history of the NCAA tournament back in '87. And we'll talk more about that later on. But talking about AJ Jabasa, he got to coach him at Utah Prep, and we got to watch him this last year. What was it like watching him in college this season?
Hey, they played in the Big 12 tournament out here, really in Kansas. And so I called his dad and called some other people there, and we went up to the game and got a chance to be at the game and watch it. And the joy that you have, when you see someone you coach and you go and watch them play. And I said, more than anything, that's the connection you have because you want to see him play and watch him play. That night he had 40 points that night, but watching him through the year and to see what he was doing, how he was playing, how he was responding. And I shared that with these guys here at Iowa United. I shared with them, that kid right there worked hard. So I called his dad and I said, hey, what time are you going to go over to the arena? I'm going to meet you, go over there and watch you guys. He said, well, AJ goes early. So that game, I think it was around 6:30. He said, well, AJ's going to be there probably around 2 hours or 2.5 hours before. And I was like, oh, my goodness. But it wasn't brand new because that's how he did things at Utah Prep. But seeing what he did and how he played and being around him every day in school and then watching him in the tournament, watching him. And I said to him, because I asked him, what are your goals? Coach, I want to win a high school championship, prep school championship. I want to win a college championship, and I want to eventually get to the NBA and become a Hall of Famer. I said, man, those are great goals. But when I look back on it, I didn't realize how hard it is to win it. Our teammates from that year at Indiana, we said the same thing. Can you believe we actually won that thing and we were, for the most part, healthy? Because you got to be healthy. Things got to bounce your way. And then you got to be prepared. And Coach Knight did a great job with us preparing us to get ready. And the Coach Knight that coached us in the tournament was not the Coach Knight that coached us in regular season. And he let us play. He understood that we knew how to play, knew how to do things. He understood that.
Wow. And obviously the mark of a great coach, but a thing that or something a lot of people don't realize about how he changed during the tournament. And I've had other players tell me different things like, all that, the faces and all those things he was making, he was doing that on purpose.
Correct.
He was trying to pull that heat off us, let us do our thing, and let him take all of that. But
there's a game we played in we played against Auburn in Indy. And Indianapolis, and we got down in that game. And Coach Knight called timeout, sat down in front of us. He said, hey, if you guys want to play how you've been playing, you'll be down by 30, and we'll lose the game, and we'll drive right back down to Bloomington. And it's not that far. We'll drive home, and our season will be over. But if you play our way, Indiana basketball, you'll get back in this game by halftime, and you'll win this game. Calm as I don't know what. That's how he said it. We got back in the game by half, came in the second half and won. Now, the shot was the big moment. It was the greatest game, one of the good games that we won. But my best game was that game. I had 20 points, 15 assists, and 9 rebounds. It, incredible how Coach Knight did things and how we came together as a team during that time.
Yeah, because that's, again, there are so many things that people know that he was so uber successful and this and that, but there are the intricacies that people like me, that I don't know, and I'm close to it. And then, of course, people that aren't even that close, it's even further removed. But it's the people that were involved, that were coached by him, coached with him, played for him, all of that. It's I always say it was obviously a master's class.
That was a master class. Great. It helped me to do what I'm doing now, and that's teaching and developing. And so when he said that he was a professor of basketball, he was teaching guys. And when I look back now, I actually now have, over the last several years, I am teaching a class, basketball 101. What does that mean? That means not just shooting the ball. That means developing as a young man. That means understanding being good in the classroom, being a good young man, because you only have a window to play basketball. It's maybe 1 year, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 15 if you're lucky. But 15 years, 10 years, basketball will be over. And now you got to figure out how to do other things to move forward. And I think that's what Coach was teaching. That's what a lot of us who have played for him and now that are in the profession of coaching, that's what we do too.
Yeah, and in the world today, we're all, it seems, trying to get everywhere or get something as fast as possible, which is sometimes that's good, but it's not always the most efficient or most effective.
Correct. And I can tell these guys that they're always on social. I say, okay, how many likes you have, and how often are you getting paid for those likes? I'm not, coach. I said, well, that means you're spending more time there than working on the game, and because all you want to go to college, and some of you want to eventually get to the NBA. It's a different story. So understand what is more important for you right now, as opposed to staying up all night. Like, we take their phones from them. They have to give us their phones at a certain time of night, and they got to turn them in. They don't get it back till the morning time. And these kids today are like, man, you just took my blanket from me, and now I got to go to bed. And so when every new kid come in, those are part of the rules. He has to understand that is what needs to be done.
Well, that's definitely the bedrock of dedication and everything that is needed from starting from the great foundation of discipline is what I was trying to think of.
Right.
Which I know something you learned from Bob Knight without question.
Yeah, the discipline part is gigantic, because you're going to spend more time trying to figure life out, more so than you are going to get it figured out, And so being able, what I got to do. I remember when Coach Knight benched me for like 3 games in a row, 3 to 5 games in a row. And I thought I was starting that night. I got ready to pull my sweats off, and they called Lyndon Jones' name. And I thought maybe there was a mistake. I didn't start, didn't play. I didn't realize Coach was already talking to my parents. Hey, I'm going to put Keith through something, but I think he can handle it. I want him to go through this right here, because in life, when you get there, no one's going to pat you on the back and say, great job today. You had to figure that out. So I didn't know that he was doing that. And then my mom said, oh, yeah, Coach was telling us everything that was going on. No one knew about that other than my mom, my dad, and Coach Knight, And so then I finally heard the story, because I couldn't understand, why is he doing this to me? Why is that happening? Fans were asking questions. My classmates were asking, why was that taking place? But there was a bigger picture behind the scene that was being painted.
How long did it take for you to not realize it, or for it to soak in, or was it something that you got then? Because I know I wouldn't have, being an immature young kid.
Yeah, I think more than anything, like today, we don't have that, right? We don't have upperclassmen leadership, because they all were telling me, hang in there. We all went through that. You're going to get through it too. Whereas now you have kids that are transferring in from other schools, so that commitment understanding is not there. Like guys who say at one school, develop, and now the upperclassmen. Like, I never really disrespected the guys who were above me, because I felt that was who they were. Joe Hillman averaged 44 points a game. You know the sacrifice that if a coach tells you, hey, I don't need you averaging 25 points a game tonight. I don't need you even scoring tonight. I need you passing, screening, and cutting. Today you sit at your kid, oh, he's transferring, But Joe knew that what he brought to the team was going to be perfect for our team. We had Steve Offer. We had starting 5 was good. We had a little skinny kid like me that can make plays. And so he understood his role on the team, and that helped us get to that spot and help us be in a position where we can now look back 39 years now and now say, well, we won that tournament when we played. But it wasn't just what I did. It was what all of our team has done. Like I told you earlier, Todd Meyer just retired from working. So one thing we're going to send him is with him on the sideline, jumping up and down, kicking and screaming. And so the joke is going to be, this how you ran out of your last day of work with your retirement.
We've got the great Keith Smart with us right now, former Indiana great, former coach in the NBA, player in the NBA, now running in the Iowa United program. Got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more right after these messages. Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era and possibly the greatest college team ever. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at the link on your screen. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. For more in-depth coverage on the Indiana Hoosiers football, basketball, and recruiting news, go to thehoosier.com on 3. Now with On 3 and great national writers like Ari Wasserman, Andy Staples, and Steve Wiltfong for football, Pete Nakos, J.B. Shaw, and Joe Tipton's constantly breaking stories on the basketball side. The local coverage from Alec Lasley, Kyler Staley. Catch something new every day at thehoosier.com. Go there, sign up today.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level it up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave and Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for being with us. It's Final Four week in Indianapolis and plenty going on. And we figured, hey, celebrate. We've got the shot maker, Keith Smart, the former IU great, former NBA player, NBA coach, now running the Iowa United program out in Iowa. That he formerly was at Utah Prep. Before that, coached AJ DeBansa. And Keith, I forgot we were talking earlier about AJ. He very possibly may land in Indianapolis.
Yeah, no, he like I said, wherever he chooses to go, he's going to be good long term for them because the guy always plays, love the practice. AJ is one of those guys you got to tell you can't come into the gym or work out today. He's still going to find a way to do it, but that's how he is, So, that happens. He gets to Indy and he plays there. It's going to be a special play. Wherever he lands, he's going to be a special guy for a long period of time.
The McDonald's All-American rosters came out, and there's another name you're very familiar with that you've gotten to be around with in back-to-back years, now at Iowa United.
Yes. So the player there has been great when I got here, sharing with him what he needs to do. Going to Houston next year is Arafine Diani, and he's a 7-foot big kid, and going to Houston is going to be great for him because it's going to get him in the best shape. He's different than any player they have, and so now he understands how to play with his back to the basket, how to play out double teams. The NBA and the top level college is slowly coming back to the big guy posting and a point guard. It's not happening in this next 3 years, but it's slowly getting back there because teams are finding out that they have to go somewhere with the basketball, and a guy who can play like that. That's why he is so impressive for him. Going to like a McDonald's All-American, I think he got to go to the Iverson Classic, and then he got to go to a Jordan Classic. And we just told him before he left, you're not going to be in a position where you're going to get the ball all this time because most of those games are more guard oriented or wing oriented. But however, they are going to shoot. They are going to miss. You go get every rebound you can, and you run the floor when you can. And I think that's what he's been doing so far.
And now with Iowa United, what do you are you recruit players here? How do you get players here? Because as I mentioned earlier with the McDonald's All Americans, it is the thing. We've got La Lumiere right here in Indiana. So it has long been growing and getting bigger, and it continues to do so.
Well, you do recruit players. You recruit players, then obviously shoe companies will have players as well. So this thing is bigger. So these players are much bigger. These players are gigantic. These players are next level to have a chance to go off to the big top level college schools. So that's taking place. And so you recruit just like you in college now. You do the same recruiting that you have. You want players to come there, top level players. Some of the high school players are going to be looked at, but not at some of the power schools, because now power schools are now looking at the prep schools, and that's where players are being recruited by those power schools, mid majors, lower Division I schools. They're looking at those kind of players because they're playing against the best players, and so teams are always going to be looking at guys who are playing in the best playing environment.
Makes sense. Absolutely. And I'm sure we'll see you back this way. There's always a lot of events going on in Indiana during the summer. And then this week, there's a lot going on. You mentioned Steve Alford earlier. He's being acknowledged by Athletes in Action this weekend. So this Saturday, and I think I'll be seeing him later today, maybe. So I'll tell him you said hello. Not that you need me to do that.
That'd be good.
But
we need, our nickname that we have. Our nickname with each other was Salt and Pepper, and I was considered Salt and he's Pepper. So when you talk to him, when you see him, just say Salt and Pepper.
I will do that. Exactly. That's funny. Have you had a chance to enjoy the NCAA tournament? We talked earlier about the shot a little bit, but these games have been phenomenal. I mean, there have been great comebacks. There's been a few upsets. And I don't care if there's a ton of upsets. I just like seeing great ball, and we've seen that.
Yes. And being here at a prep school and being the last couple of years and always watching the tournament big time, that's because I had a chance to be in it and play in it and have success in it. I always watch. But it's also able to share with these young men what it's like when you are announced to play in the tournament, where you're going to play, then who you're going to play. That's an incredible feeling. And these guys watch the selection Sunday, getting ready. They watch many college games because they're being recruited by some of those teams. And then when they actually get a chance to watch them, when you get away from everything else that's going on, what's taking place, you can see now what is happening. Great basketball, not the NIL. You're not looking at that. Not the portal. You're not paying attention to that. You are focusing on the game itself, the tournament itself. And you're seeing some incredible basketball coming down to the wire. Some teams are dominating. But as you keep moving up, these guys are really, really good players. And that's why it's been exciting with the tournament taking place and now the Final Four and so forth. So I just think that it's great for basketball. It's a great teaching tool to share with guys. Hey, you want to go there, but look how that team plays. Are you playing that way? Are you playing it hard? Because all those schools are trying to get into that tournament and eventually get to the Final Four and hopefully to get a chance to win it all.
Does Iowa allow NIL for high schools?
Well, so not so much. I don't think it's there in high school, but I know in prep school because players now have agents. Players now have I can't go just to watch a high school game and enjoy, right? Because if I go and show up there, they think I'm trying to recruit one of their guys from their high school. So high schools are not really in favor of prep schools. So those guys, I don't know what they may have. But however, to keep those guys there, they might do some of this. So many other rules in the high school system. In the prep school, you have rules, but they have agents, they have workout guys, a shooting coach, a director of their performance, and all that stuff there. And so they have a team already. These guys already have a team to prepare them for the next opportunity. So all those things take place.
Yeah, it's there. Iowa does allow NIL for all high school students. So that's something that they don't have in Indiana. So a great place for that may be an advantage. But so La Lumiere, that's different though, because they're not part of the IHSA. Hey, they can do whatever they want.
Right, correct. That's exactly it. Whatever they want, trying to get kids from all around the country. Plus, like on our team this year here, we have players from the African continent. We have a player here from Serbia. We have other players here from Canada. So, and the other schools have players from all over the world. We have players from various sites of the world because some guys we got players from Australia here. So you look at it and you say, well, the biggest thing is you got kids coming from everywhere. They've been in NBA developmental camps all around the world, clinics and stuff like that. So now you recruit. NBA puts the stamp there. I think this guy's going to have a chance. What does he do? He goes to a prep school, and now he keep getting better because now the stamp has been there on that player, and he gets better. He makes it or he doesn't make it, but he gets a chance to go to college, and he becomes a pretty good player. And so it's incredible, and that's why I like it because it's a step below the college level, but the players become really good to play and play well in college. And I'm just trying to share with them with my experience in college and share with them everything about college basketball and how you need to play, perform, take care of business in classrooms. Like when kids come in and they may be late. Now, I don't get mad and kick them out of practice and all that kind of stuff there. I say, hey, I'm going to call your agent. I'm going to call your mom and tell me you were late for practice and you can't practice. If they are not doing their work in class, I'm going to call the agent, call the parent, and tell them he's behind in his work. But because I'm trying to teach them and train them what they're going to face. When they go to a college and that happens, what happens? They get kicked off the team. The coach got to prepare to win there. I got to do the same thing here. But while I'm doing that, I can now coach them and teach them what they need to be doing.
And I just chuckled a minute ago when I heard you say, I'm going to call your agent. I'm like, that's the world we're in today.
That's where we are now.
I'm like, wow. And it just hit hard when you said that. I was like, whoa. But are college coaches having to do that too?
They got to do it the same way. They got to do the same thing. And that's why we're preparing them for that. Because the college coaches got to do the same thing. When you first start recruiting, when I got recruited, they only talked to my coach and me. When I was started recruiting and talking, I'm talking to the parent, the players, the agent, the workout guy, the rehabilitation guy. I'm talking to 5 people before I even can recruit the guy. And they will ask you. They used to be shy with asking questions that, hey, you guys have a package, we great school, everything there, he's going to be good. But now it's straight out. What's your NIL package like? Then we can start talking about everything else. When I was in college, that's where the conversation most of the time, because now they look at the rankings, and now if this kid is ranked here, we heard this guy receive this, go there, which is all above board. We heard his NIL package is this amount. We think our guy is that good. And because in high school and college, there are no offer sheets. In the NBA, you had an offer sheet. If this guy got this from over here, you say, okay, he got his offer sheet from Detroit. Okay, I can compare and see what's going on. But over here, someone can tell you that their kid is getting this. There's no real rules to that. There's nothing going on there.
The great Keith Smart with us right now, former IU player, former NBA coach, and currently coach at Iowa United Prep, of course. What city is it in Iowa, Keith?
We're in Des Moines, Iowa.
Out in Des Moines, Iowa, in God's country, of course. And I started earlier and I asked you, have you enjoyed watching the NCAA tournament? Because these games have been phenomenal.
Yes, I enjoy immensely. Myself and sometimes with our staff member, we watch games. We go to a restaurant, we eat, and we watch the games. And we say, man, we know those guys right there. Wow, look at that player play. And so now being in prep school for multiple years, like we had a player named J.J. Maniquin, who went to Washington when I coached at Utah Prep. And he was on our team. And he got hurt this year, and talking with his dad and everything. And so he's a guy you were around. You want to see him do well. We had several other guys that got recruited and went to Division I schools too. And so watching these games, you now have people that you've coached. So your attachment is to that. Obviously, I'm going to always be attached to what's taking place at IU because that's where I went. And so when things are going well for them, things are not going well for them, I'm supporting them 100%. I'm behind what they do. And I never forget one story. Yogi Ferrell came to practice. He was at Dallas, and we were playing in Dallas. And then I came in with when you had the picture of that. And I said to Yogi, when he's at Dallas, I said, hey, man, you may see a picture of me every so often when you walk into the practice facility. And he was trying to figure out who I was, And then finally he said, oh, yeah, man, you're that shot guy, So he remembered that way, because I was congratulating him for finally getting called up and now being there at Dallas full time in the NBA.
Dude, Yogi was from Indiana. He's got to put a little bit more respect on your name than that.
I think what drew him off with the photo was the picture that was there was me with this nice flowing afro hair. And then when he saw me, of course, he's like, wait a minute, you're the same guy, are you?
More with the great Keith Smart right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle and Keith Smart. Speaking of yogis, there's a good picture that I get to cherish. Well, is that the last time you were in town?
Well, it wasn't the last time because my in-laws live in Bloomington.
Yeah, I remember your wife is from Bloomington and her family.
My wife went to, she's from New York, but her dad teaches at IU. He's been retired for several years, named William Popkin, and he teaches in the law school, tax law at the law school. So that connection there, my wife told me this. I called her house one night, Dad answered the phone, and I called there, to talk to her. And I said, yes, this is Keith Smart, sir. I want to talk to Carol Popkin, Carol. And he said, my wife said, he put the phone down and said, why is he calling here? And she got the phone, obviously been talking. And we've been married ever since that time, since 80. We got married in 89. So we've been, 1990. And but we met at IU, and we've had two lovely kids, Andre and Jared. And those are our kids. And I brought them back. Something I may have done, they decided to build a statue, create a statue of myself and Steve Alford on that campus. In the before you come in to watch a great game in Assembly Hall. I guess they changed the name a little bit. Yeah. So being there to see that on campus, and got a chance to take my sons there to be able to see it, and sit there with them. And Coach Dine mentioned to us as we have won it. He said, "Sure, you guys won the national championship, but it won't be until you sitting with your kids and or watching a game, and one of them look at you and say, 'Man, when my dad played in that tournament, they won it.'" And one of my sons, we were watching a game together. He saw it, and he said, "Wow." He said, "Dad, and Keith Smart, the hero." And he ran around. That moment came back because that was what was said in the locker room. And now here our kids got a chance to see and witness that.
Man, I cannot imagine that feeling. That must have been incredible and much deserved moment. Do they have they seen the shot, I'm sure, on TV?
Yeah, my kids have. Yeah, the kids have seen it. And we had a guy here, and one of the players was in here and just sitting here talking and everything. And somehow someone sent me a picture of a championship game sent me a post. And I showed it to him. He said, "You went to Indiana? Coach, you won the championship?" And I just have this only time I'll wear my the championship ring this month, up until the tournament to the championship game, and so he saw it and he was like, "Coach, you got a championship ring?" So he's looking at everything. I give him the ring. He put it on and he said, "Oh my goodness, I gotta get one of those. So that's a part of it that I love. Is the kids, some kids know, some of their parents know me because of that moment, but some of the kids today, as they always say, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, no one really knows other than people who know you around close to your age. But eventually that moment that we had in the tournament will continue to be uploaded all the time when this tournament is played.
Well, and as I was just sitting here thinking about it, how many jump shots do you think you've hit in your lifetime? Thousands upon thousands.
Thousands upon thousands. And you know what?
In the grand scheme of things, they probably didn't mean a lot, but that one will never, ever, ever be forgotten.
For sure. No, it was one of those things of shooting. We always had a thing in our high school was to make a shot, fall in, go left or right, depending on what side you were shooting at, and fall into the arms of the cheerleaders who were on the baseline. So I must have practiced that shot 1,000 times, because that's what I wanted to do. And eventually got into a championship moment, and I was able to take a shot going to my left to shoot the ball, and I made the shot there.
Yeah, you definitely made it, and one that will not be forgotten for certain.
Right.
Who do you got winning the national championship?
I'm gonna stay neutral. I'm just going to play it safe and see who's going to win it, and I'll just focus on just that. But I won't get out. I'll just watch the game, enjoy it. You know, if Indiana is in there, I'm going to say IU for sure. If Steve Alford is in there coaching, I'm going to say Steve's going to win it. They may not win it, but I've always pushed for Indiana every year. And even one year they were in it and didn't get far. My bracket was busted because IU got knocked out. But I'm always going to be putting for those guys.
Yeah, that's. I'm sure the fans enjoy hearing that. How about the former Bob Knight basketball manager, Dusty May at Michigan?
I texted with him the other day. I said, man, I'm so proud. Now, I was still playing, but I live in Bloomington at the Point. Dusty used to rebound for myself and Calvert Cheney. He was being a manager. I would come over to IU and play with those guys. And I was still playing. And we would shoot after we worked out. And Dusty used to be running around, shaking the balls for us, you know. And looking at him now, even his career when before he got to Michigan, just watching what he was doing. Even to this day, I study what he does, how he plays, how he coaches. And then also having players here in the prep school and saying, hey, you may have someone from your staff take a look at this kid. You know, now I don't bother them now because they're getting ready. I just text him and say, hey, man, keep it rolling. Yeah, because he's a Hoosier, you know, for the most part. You know, that's how we look at him. And so we always support those guys when they get a chance to be there.
Well, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic Final Four. I'm looking forward to it. Fortunately, I'll be up there. It's in Indianapolis this week, and we'll be thinking about you, man. But I cannot thank you for taking the time, as you all have both been so gracious with your time, and I really appreciate you, Keith.
No, thank you so much for having me on, and you know, I love talking about this moment because it's not just about what I did. It's about what my teammates did in the environment. It's what everyone has done. And also it's for every fan of IU basketball. And then it's also for just fans of college basketball. There was one time when the Final Four, also when I think it was Arizona had won it, and John Wooden was going to be there. And I was supposed to speak there, be on the set at that time. And the guy said, Coach, Keith, would you mind if John Wooden comes and talking your spot? I said, absolutely. That guy is a legend. I love how he done things and go about his life and his faith and everything. And I just felt that was very important.
He definitely won a lot. Coach Knight was not a fan of his.
Coach Knight was not a fan of his. And that's why I say all the time, because a lot of people are not a fan of coaching Indiana. Yeah. I said I had to learn how to take away what everyone says, look at what they do, apply it to your personality, and learn and grow from there. And that's what I've done my whole career.
Yeah, because there's so much to take away from so many different places, so many people, and you've been so fortunate to be around some greats, man. Obviously, Coach Knight. What's your favorite story from your team, the national championship team?
Okay, I'll tell you this story. If you go back and you look, we're in the championship game. Coach Knight, I'm playing. I'm supposed to be doing something. I wasn't doing a whole lot. Steve was scoring real well, so I didn't have to do anything. And somehow do a pass, it was a turnover. And I thought Darryl Thomas would go this way. He went another way. And I lost the ball. The ball went out of bounds. So now Coach takes me out of the game. All the seniors we talked about, upperclassmen, said, keep your head in the game. You're going to get back in. Joby Wright, Ron Felling, hey, you're going to get back in the game. Just keep your head involved in the game. Don't look down. Coach Knight calls me and said, Keith, you ready to play? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, I'm giving you 2 minutes to go in this game and do something. And if you haven't done anything in 2 minutes, I'm taking you out again. If I take you out again, I'm probably not going to play you the second half. Play you the rest of the game. And then he said, if I don't play in the second half, I probably won't use you next year. So People thought I was playing for a national championship, but I was playing to keep my scholarship.
How? No pressure. Go
No
out,
pressure, no
win a
pressure.
game, win a national championship.
And make this shot, all that stuff there, but people don't realize what I was playing for. And plus, it was at home in my backyard, New Orleans, and I live in Baton Rouge. And so all I had family that was there, and I just did what I did. I played how I played, and that was what our team was. If Steve Alford's not shooting or not being guarded heavily, Rick Callaway, I look at him, but he was hurt that game. And then the two big guys, Darryl Thomas and Dean Garrett, I go to one of those. If they didn't have anything, I took over and did something, and I did that. When you go back to that team and look at that season, each one of us did something to win the game. You know, Steve Alford made that big-time shot at Michigan. We lose that, we're probably not in that same seed, in that same region. Joe Hillman made a shot. Dean made a shot. Darryl Thomas made a putback shot. Ricky made a big-time play, being in Cincinnati. All of us made a play to help get us in that right seeding and the right matchups to get to the Final Four. You know, that's why I said I made this shot, had a great tournament, but it was what every player did during that year. You know, we had some walk-ons, guys who got the same ring that we all wear because they help prepare us to get us ready for this tournament. You know, so it takes so much for that opportunity to happen, and somebody's going to be crowned coming up the same way, and they can have those same stories about some walk-on who's helping them play well, practicing hard every day, just got a scholarship. The main guys are going to get the credit, but everyone else really helped with you getting to that opportunity.
Right down to managers.
Yeah, and to the manager, parking lot attendant, everybody.
The last thing I want to say, that shot that Braylon Mullins made the other night, it reminded me there were some similarities. He gets the ball, he dishes it to Caravan, and he comes back to Braylon Mullins. Reminds me back in the day, the ball goes to Darryl Thomas, he comes back to you. And it was like, I'm sure there wasn't time to think, but what was the process like?
Yes, you're absolutely right. It was all about the training that we went through before. You pass, you never stand. You pass, you move. You pass, you cut. You pass, you screen away. And when I passed the ball into Darryl Thomas, I moved. And Howard Trish came back to the area where I was. And by that time, I had moved to another location. And I never forget, I hear in my ear all the time, Ron Felling always saying two things defensively. How did he get it? How did he get it? You know, defensively. And don't stand. No stand. Don't stand. And I remember hearing that. He didn't say it in the game. Maybe he did. But I remember over the time of training, that is what he was saying. You know, over time, pass, don't stand. Pass, don't stand. And I did that. Coach Knight always said, be hard to guard. Hard to guard. Don't stand. Be hard to guard. And we did that. Offensively, be hard to guard. And defensively, don't stand.
Well, you didn't, and certainly got it done, man. And thank you so much again, brother. Appreciate you. Anything we could ever do. Look forward to seeing you whenever you're back this way as well.
For sure, man. I'll give you a call and give you guys a call. And my plan was to be there for the tournament, but obviously I'm not here at Iowa United now. So, but we're going to be watching it and paying attention to it. And obviously we got a good Hoosier in there, although he's wearing that other color school, you know. But we're going to be watching it and see how they play out, how the tournament plays out. And one game, you know, we'll look at it. And the shot has a life of its own. And it's trying to stay above water. When I coached with the Miami Heat, Mario Chalmers, he said, you know, I made a shot too. You know, I made a shot also. You know, so it's good. It's a lot of fun.
The great Keith Smart joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Cannot thank each and everybody enough. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.